Supreme Court rarely allows new evidence, certificate controversie, Ubani. The senior attorney said that the decision of whether or not to admit new evidence in the case may be left to the court's discretion. A former chairman, Section of Public Interest and Development Law, Spittal, Nigerian Bar Association, Monday Ubani, says it will be difficult for the Supreme Court to admit fresh evidence in the appeal of the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. He was responding to a case that had been brought by Atiku Abubakar, the People's Democratic Party's PDP presidential candidate for the 2023 election, in which Atiku had asked for the release of President Bola Tinubu's certificate from Chicago State University because he believed the certificate the president had submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) might not be genuine. Based on the circumstances, the issue of new evidence being admitted by the appellate court is exceedingly uncommon, especially if you had access to it when you first started the process. The Supreme Court will never, even the Court of Appeal will not admit fresh evidence because their job is to review the decision of the court below and not to now evaluate any evidence. They don't take any evidence, but there are special circumstances under which fresh evidence can be admitted by the appellate court, and that ground is maybe by the time you filed a case that evidence was not available, Ubani said on Channels Television's Sunrise Daily on Thursday. President Tinubu had rejected Atiku's request for access to his records through his attorneys, but a U.S. court ultimately ordered CSU to provide Atiku access to the president's academic records after he informed the court he required them for his Supreme Court appeal. As the Supreme Court will only be reviewing the verdict of the lower court, Ubani claimed it will be difficult for Atiku's legal team to persuade the High Court to include new evidence in the appeal of the Election Tribunal judgment. The senior attorney stated that Tinubu's legal team would contest Atiku's on the subject of new evidence's admissibility, and that the court might be left to exercise its discretion in this regard. The issue of admissibility of fresh evidence is very critical. You must convince, and whoever is bringing it will be opposed by the other party. So, the court now exercises what is called discretionary power in either admitting or not allowing that fresh evidence to come in, he said. The tribunal upheld Tinubu's victory in the election on September 6 and concluded that the petitioner, the People's Democratic Party (PDP), and Atiku Abubakar, had failed to establish the charges against this ground and all other reasons in their petition. Justice Haruna Samani, leader of the five-man panel, said, "This petition accordingly lacks merit. I affirm the return of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the duly elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The parties are to bear their cost." The court also expunged 37 exhibits tendered by the witnesses from the court's records.
Brewing now with this certificate saga, because a good number of people are going to be wondering how is it going to,
be
come.
determined. Yes.
On the one hand is the fact that from what we know, you may want to educate us further, that the Supreme Court rarely takes on new evidence to decide on a matter unless it is compelling. On the other hand, there are those who are wondering whether or not this judgment, as you have said, may not go in the direction of a technicality. First of all, do you see this, what we have, as being admissible at the Supreme Court?
You know, the matter is presently pending before the Supreme Court, so whatever discussion I will make over this, I have to be a bit careful until they determine it. But looking at the facts surrounding it, the issue of admissibility of fresh evidence, by the appellate court is very rare, especially if that particular evidence was available to you while you were initiating the process. The Supreme Court will never, even the appellate court, other court of appeal, will not admit any fresh evidence because their job is to review the decision of the court below and not to now evaluate any evidence. They don't take any evidence. But there are special circumstances under which fresh evidence can be admitted by the court of appeal, by the appellate court. And that ground is that maybe at the time you filed the case, that evidence was not available.
But this is,
yes.
This was not available at the time the case
Now,
was
when
filed.
was he initiated? When was he initiated for the availability of this document? This will be taken into consideration. Did you initiate this process after the final decision of the court of below? If you did, why didn't you probably start earlier in order to get it? It wasn't available. So the court will take all that in, because facts differ. Okay. And they decide their case based on, and also issue of admissibility of that fresh evidence is very critical. You must convince, and whoever is bringing it will be opposed by the other party. So the court now exercises what called discretionary power in either admitting or not allowing that fresh evidence to come in.
But where are you in all of the discrepancies identified in what was released by Chicago State University and what was submitted to INEC?
Yeah, my opinion will be made known fully after the Supreme Court would have taken a decision, a position. But the point is this, under our law, if you present what we call forged document to INEC, under Section 137, if you remember, it is a ground for disqualification. It is a ground for disqualification, but you must prove forgery because now he has entered into the realm of crime. So it is issue of proof beyond reasonable doubt. So the evidence, I mean, the burden of proof lies squarely on the petitioner. It's a very heavy burden.
Okay. Chamberlain.
Mr. Ubani, that is going to be very interesting, that section 137J, grounds of disqualification. But you start, at some point, you mentioned technicalities. But in what circumstances do you think technicalities can come in again on this particular matter? Because to a lot of people, they think it's as clear as black and white.
It's not very easy. Because as the CJN has rightly pointed out, you know, the thing that will be applied is going to be law. And not sentiment, you know. So if you are saying that it is forged, the point first and foremost is who says it's forged. The best evidence will only come from the school where that certificate is domiciled or came from. And so what did they say concerning that certificate, you know? So they will look at the facts. What is the university saying? Is the university saying pointedly that that certificate that has been submitted to INEC didn't come from them, that it is not their certificate, and that there is no other source where it can come from? Yeah, because I'm hearing, you know, we are hearing this issue that there is a particular body that can also issue any law certificate from the university. Does the university say that they don't have such a body? So if the university has not expressly pronounced that certificate forged, then it will be very difficult for anyone to say that it's forged. So the onus lies on the petitioner now, or the appellant, to say, look, I have been able to prove that this certificate conclusively is forged, and the university has said so. But the university has left a lot of gaps.
But Mr. Ubani,
yes.
If the university says the certificate that we usually have is this, maybe type A, and then if they then say, look, the type B or whichever type is in your INEC or whatever you call it, we don't know about that. This is the one we know. What other expressly speaking, which other way can it be expressly put other than telling you, well, this is the one we have? So we don't know about any other one other than ours.
Sorry, that if a certificate get lost, that one, that they don't have a copy of it, and then there is this particular story that other bodies can also issue on their behalf. I don't know whether it came from the university or from, you know, from the respondent, you know, because I heard that story that if you lose your certificate from that university, you have a right to apply to another body that we give you that is affiliated to the university. I heard that story. So those line of argument is something that will be brought before the court. Because as I said earlier, the most important thing is for the university, let the university say, this certificate you are presented is forged. That has to come from the university. If the university does not say so...
Let me hypothesize a bit.
Say it again.
What if the two circumstances here, just playing out as you were speaking, does the petitioner have to go to court with whatever they have from wherever they get it and ask the court or the school, this particular document, is this from you? And if that happens and the school says, this is not ours, the one we issue is this one, but this other one is not ours. And assuming we got that one from the country here, and the school has disowned that one, would it be tenable in the court here that the school has said they don't know about this one that we brought from here to them?
The legal team of the appellant is really doing their work now. And I can assure you that the legal team of the respondent are also looking at the situation dispassionately in order to know what to respond, you know, when these things come up before the Supreme Court. These things will be presented. The facts are very clear, keen, you know, and they will be interested in looking at the facts in order to now persuade the Supreme Court to reach a particular decision. So whatever we do here without having the full facts of the case, may not be able to help even our fellow citizens. Yes.
I asked the question based on what you said, because you said there was a narrative that came through that if you lose your document, you can apply to another body. Now that's what I'm saying. Look, assuming we consider that is the case, if that happens, and then we go with the one, quote unquote, that may have been issued by another body, in quotes, to the school, and the school says, we don't know about that one. What else will the school be required to do? Wouldn't that be tantamount to saying, we don't know about any other thing apart from the one we issue?
But this is speculative. Now, the school has not said so, Chamberlain. As I said earlier, the best evidence will come from the school, but the school has to be the one to speak to whatever, our president has presented before INEC, because the law says it's only forged document presented to INEC that can be a disqualifying factor based on forgery. Document forged. So as I said earlier, the proof of that forged document lies squarely on the appellant. And he can get that particular evidence from the school. If the school has not said so, it will become very difficult for anyone to now call that document forged. It's going to be a very onerous task.
Has already spoken about their own kind of certificate.
Who has spoken about their own certificate? You mean the school?
Yeah.
I didn't get the answer. I didn't get the question.
About the certificate they issue.
Now,
the school already spoke about the ones that they issue. It's clear. Everybody is out there.
That is what we're saying, Chamberlain. The court will look at all the facts of the case. Because my thinking before, when Atiku was pursuing this, was whether he was looking at the fact whether this our president did not attend that university. The university has come up to own up and say this person was our student. He graduated from our university in 1979. He passed through the Department of Accountancy, and we issued a certificate, a degree certificate. In other words, you cannot disqualify the president now on grounds of education because he passed through a university and got a degree. Now, the only issue now is the certificate he presented. Was it from the school? Because I hear it was diploma that he presented. If he presented a diploma, did the school give him diploma certificate? That is the issue. And the Supreme Court will decide all that based upon whatever Atiku and his legal team will present before the Supreme Court. They will look at it dispassionately and be sure that what they will apply is law. You hear the CJN say it. We are not going to be bound by sentiment all over the social media. We will look at the state of the law and apply what the law of the land has said. And we have to hold them tenaciously to it that all what will be applied is law. So then let's not dissipate energy of whatever is going to happen. We trust the Supreme Court, men and women that are learned, people that have integrity, people that we know over time have had experience from the lowest court to Supreme Court. Before you become a judge of the Supreme Court, it is not a day's job. Experience over years. So we must trust them to dispense justice, to all the parties that will appear before them. That is my segment about this, my brother.
Even though you also said that the lawyers, the judges themselves, they are not infallible. Whether that will play out or not, I guess we'll have to see, wait and see.
That's correct.
Dr. Monday Ubani is former chairman, section of Public Interest and Development Spittle at the NBA. Thank you again for your time this morning.
Thank you, my brother. Ayo, what we want to emphasize is that let's help the judiciary. Issue of litigants going to court for years, 10 years, 20 years, the matters are not resolved. The governors, the president of the country, the attorney general, we must all wake up. Lawyers are complaining. They go to court, they don't get justice.
Well, since we know that the judges cannot do it themselves, maybe NBA needs to pay some money to Channels Television so we have a week.
This news is reaching you from Ogulga Vanguards Limited. The true face of Niger Delta. We tell your story better. For publication of press releases, statements, advert and inquiries, send an email to ogulagavanguards@gmail.com. Call 080516700922 or reach us at www.ogulavanguards.com.ng. Preview.